Well, welcome to GiveSignup 101, where we will be getting a great presentation from one of our senior account managers, Nancy Cabanis. Nancy is here. Nancy, do you want to say hi?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Chris.
Good to have you, Nancy. So Nancy will begin shortly. I have a few housekeeping items that I'll tell you about first. And then we can get rolling with GiveSignup 101. So housekeeping, we will be recording this webinar and sharing out both the webinar and the slides tomorrow. So if at any moment you feel like you missed something, don't worry, we'll be following up with the information that was shared today. And if you have questions as things roll along, you can feel free to put your questions where it says sort of questions in the little portal right there. Where you can see we got a question from Nancy, and she just from Ann Mitchell. She just said, "Hi, Chris and Nancy, you are all going to be so awesome." Thank you, Ann.
Nice to know that we have friends out there.
Good colleagues and friends we have over here at RunSignup and GiveSignup. So yeah, feel free to put your questions there. We will, answer those that are specific to the, we'll write them. We'll give you a written answer, and those that might benefit the whole group, we'll probably say out loud. But without further ado, I give you Nancy Cabanis and GiveSignup 101. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris. Hi again, everyone. I am so pleased to be presenting GiveSignup 101 this afternoon, highlighting a few of our essential features and best practices used by charitable events for their peer-to-peer fundraising. If you're not familiar, GiveSignup is an all-in-one platform. We have the tools that you will need for event registration, donation processing, and managing fundraisers. We've helped races and nonprofits have successful events and further their charitable efforts. During today's webinar, I'm going to talk about the importance of customizing your donation page, considerations that you may want to think through for peer-to-peer fundraising, and how GiveSignup is going to help you connect with your fundraisers and your donors. Supporting a nonprofit is a meaningful way to contribute to your community's well-being. I'm sure most of you that are on the webinar today would agree with that. It has the potential to not only increase your event's visibility, but it also has the potential to enhance your reputation and increase participation as well as sponsorships. In today's webinar, I'm going to review these key things: donations, charity partners, peer-to-peer fundraising, gamification and incentives, and I'm going to hit a little bit of the highlights of our email communications. If you're ready to raise more money, reach a broader audience, and amplify your impact out there in the world doing good, our platform is designed to do just that. We have a streamlined registration process that makes participants really happy. And we have a smooth donation process that makes it easy for donors to give. That is so important. And while I see a lot of variation in how events choose to set up their fundraising, individuals and team fundraisers are given the tools to easily tap into their networks, and that's key. So let's start with donations. Like I said, our tools make it easy for donors to give, and there are three basic ways. First, enabling a donation option that shows up during and outside of registration. Second, adding a checkbox at checkout with a preset donation amount. And third, enabling peer-to-peer fundraising. It all starts when you first create your race or event. When enabled, the donation feature adds a donation ask, again, that shows up within and outside of the registration path. So one thing I'd like to say as we get going, as I review the information in today's webinar, it's important to keep in mind that every fundraising event is unique. So take what you find useful and match it to your goals and your capacity to support your very unique fundraising efforts. I always like to give a nod to my moderator today, Chris, who likes to talk about the buffet. Right? Chris, we love to talk about the buffet. So,
yeah, it's the beautiful fundraising buffet. You can come, and if you're feeling the crab legs today, but you're not feeling the lobster rolls, just take the crab legs. Yeah, Or the fillet, you know, you come, you take what works for you, and you leave what doesn't work. It's a good system.
Setting up the donations page begins with a few essential steps. Donations is its own section in your dashboard. And from here, you begin setup with the general settings. You start by defining a start and an end date. And remember that your end date does not have to be the end date of your event. It may actually be several days, even several weeks or months after your event actually comes to an end. So bear that in mind. You also get to define your fundraising goal. Please don't leave this blank. I'm going to talk about some tools that really highlight this goal. And you're also able to add a description. And this is an important section that you should not leave blank either. You can consider adding a nonprofit logo, especially if that is different than the race logo, and you can define donation levels. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Our platform allows you to create donation levels that cater to a broad range of donors. You get to define the options that are suitable for your audience. Sometimes that might be lower dollar amounts. Other times it might be amounts that go well over $1,000. You're also able to add a label or a descriptive name that really helps to illustrate the impact of each of those donation levels. And doing this may actually help motivate people to select a higher level. And of course, we always hope that a donor might enter an amount that's even above some of our suggested donation levels. I like to think about the donation page as a huge call to action button. You have the option to include images, content, customized donation levels that align with your race, your event, and your organization. It's really important to distinguish this particular page from your race information. And you can do that by starting with a heading that introduces your cause as well as your fundraising goal. The goal thermometer helps to visually track the progress that you are making, and believe it or not, can be a huge motivator for both donors and fundraisers. That's why it's so important to put that goal amount in that initial setup. Use the descriptive box to describe your cause, your organization, or the initiative that you're raising money from. Don't use this box to describe details about your race. Again, we're trying to distinguish this page from the race information. Be clear and concise and inspiring. And I know that sounds like a tall order. This is one of those details that really does need some TLC. And be sure to include some clear instructions for people who might prefer to make an offline donation. Not everybody's able to charge $10,000 on their MasterCard or Visa. And if somebody wants to send you a check of that size, give them some instructions on how to do that. You can offer attribution options for donors. And these are wonderful because it adds a personal touch for a contribution that's made to honor or celebrate somebody. And finally, the option of publicly recognizing donors with a scrolling donor list can be an incentive, especially for businesses who really appreciate being recognized for their contributions and commitment to your cause. Other considerations when setting up your donations include the following. So one of our newest features, tribute information. This is a way to offer to mail a card of thanks to inform an honoree or maybe a family member of a donation. Also coming your way soon is going to be the ability to send an e-card. It's another nice personal touch and really appeals to donors. A fundraising incentive like a donation discount might be right for your audience and your cause. Being able to customize that type of incentive really assures that it's going to align with your race, maybe your nonprofit partner, and your participants. And then also by enabling matching gifts, such as the integration that we have with Double the Donation, can motivate people to donate maybe a little bit more when they know that their contribution will have double the impact. So here's a bit more on this new feature, tribute information. You're going to find this feature in the donations section under setup. When you toggle on the setting to enable mailing address collection, you'll also find the option to customize the text that displays on the donation page. And if this feature is used, there's also a new donation dedication report, which everyone will love because it includes all the addresses along with the donor information. This is a terrific new feature. Let's talk about charity partners. A charity partner, for sure, is a beneficiary, but I also like to think about charity partners as being collaborators. Now, the collaboration you have may be limited to collecting donations on behalf of a nonprofit, but it could also be much bigger than that. It could also include offering perks that are similar to those that we think of being given to sponsors. But in the end, working with the charity partner gives your race credibility. It has the potential, again, to increase participation, and it's a very meaningful way to make an impact. So whether you work with a single charity or many, it's really a win-win for everybody that is involved. Charity partners, just like fundraisers, may be featured on the donation page, showcasing their involvement and even their progress. On the screen, you see an example of 3 made-up charity partners: a food bank, a conservancy, and a children's hospital. And you can see they have different goals, and you can see how they are progressing. Charity partners may also be set up so that they can manage and control their own information. This is very appealing to many nonprofits. For example, a lot of nonprofits appreciate the ability to be able to view fundraising reports in real time, because aside from all the details and all the information, this really offers them an opportunity to cultivate some very important relationships, those relationships that start when somebody decides to fundraise or when somebody makes a donation to the cause. And by all means, try not to overlook the little details when it comes to fundraising for your race or your event. Sometimes the simplest thing can make all the difference. This is a great example. By adding a checkbox option on the checkout page, races can significantly increase their fundraising dollars. Look at that percentage of increase. It's really quite astounding. So even if your participants are zooming through the registration process, they may still be willing to add a small donation if they're given a very simple prompt at checkout right at the end. So now the good stuff.
Nancy,
Yeah.
before you roll on, we got a great question. Someone's asking, is it possible to have the donations be directly deposited into the charity partner's account versus the race's bank account? If you could just speak a little bit about that ability, that'd be great.
That is a great question, and thank you to whoever posted that. Yes, that is a possibility, and that is a very appealing one for a race that would prefer to have most of their race proceeds or their registration dollars go into an operating account, but they would prefer the donation dollars go directly to a charity. And that can happen, again, for a single charity partner or for multiple charity partners. And all of that can get set up when a charity partner is set up. That's a great question. Thanks for that, Chris.
Of course, yeah, thank you.
So peer-to-peer fundraising, I love it. This is my thing. So runs, walks, rides, tournaments, peer-to-peer fundraising takes so many different forms. In the time that I've been working here at RunSignup, I have seen DIY fundraisers grow in popularity. And if you're not familiar with what that is, this is where individuals or groups create and manage their own fundraising campaigns to benefit like a favorite nonprofit or a favorite cause. I also see that our fundraising features are a perfect fit for charity bib fundraising, where participants commit to raising a set amount of money in exchange for a guaranteed entry into a race, especially a race that is difficult to get into. One thing that Chris and I know for sure, and I'm sure that you do too, is that people are more likely to donate to people that they know. And this is why peer-to-peer fundraising is so effective. When it comes to fundraising, personal connections matter, and they matter a lot. Events that have the capacity to incorporate peer-to-peer fundraising raise an average of nearly 750% more than those that only have simple donations. But here's the thing, truly successful peer-to-peer fundraising requires support. And so baked into our platform are tools and ways that you can really support your supporters to help them become your top fundraisers. You can offer financial as well as digital rewards throughout the process and really get the most out of those ambitious fundraisers. So let's talk about enabling individual fundraising. It begins with the first few steps. Fundraising, just like donations, fundraising is its own section in your dashboard. And from here, you begin with individual fundraisers and the general settings. Having a clear, specific, and achievable goal is essential because without it, fundraisers just may not understand what they're working towards, which will ultimately go to undermining their success. Set the stage by developing a default fundraising message. It can explain who they are, why they're fundraising, what they hope to achieve. It can also include how the donation is going to be used and thanking people in advance for their support. Again, this is another one of those boxes that you don't want to leave blank. Same thing goes with the default fundraising goal. A default fundraising goal gives fundraisers a clear target to aim for, and it helps manage expectations. One of the examples I like to use all the time is that there's a different set of expectations when you see that the default fundraising goal is $100 versus $1,000. So think that through. After these steps, you might also want to go a little bit further and define fundraising rules and minimums. For example, whether fundraising is optional or required. So think about it this way. Some events benefit from spreading fundraising efforts widely, making everybody a fundraiser. Other events, in contrast, find more success by focusing on those super ambitious, super dedicated fundraisers who have a deeply personal reason for wanting to fundraise. One is not necessarily better than the next. Those are organizational decisions that I always encourage nonprofits and events to think through as they're going through the setup. As I mentioned earlier, and it bears repeating, there are no two fundraising campaigns that are the same. So I always encourage people to take advantage of being able to customize how your fundraisers are displayed. Starting with the term fundraiser, you have the ability to replace the term fundraiser with a term of your own. Maybe it's called fundraiser, maybe it's called champion, maybe it's called hero. You don't have to call them fundraisers. So if there's something meaningful for your organization, by all means, you can do that. You can create a custom fundraiser heading that really pops and stands out. You can choose how they're displayed. You can choose the placement for the call to action buttons like the Become a Fundraiser prompt and the Join button. All of these things are customizations that you can add to make the fundraising piece of the platform really work for you. And by all means, take the time to customize the content that shows up in the social sharing options and in the specific emails that go back and forth between your event and your fundraisers. So I dropped this little slide in here because this is a piece that I know myself and my fellow account managers and Chris that we all spend a good amount of time trying to help our customers understand. So we have two different features, and today we're going to be talking about fundraising teams. Groups and teams are much more social bonding kind of tool. Fundraising teams, on the other hand, are where individual fundraisers combine and they pool their resources and they come together for a common cause. So I just want to make the distinction that today, when I refer to teams, I'm referring to fundraising teams. So once fundraising is set, you might also decide to enable team fundraising. Again, fundraising is its own section in the dashboard, and from here you begin with team fundraisers and the general settings. Fundraising as a team has lots of advantages, one of the biggest ones being the potential to reach a larger audience. Remember, a team of fundraisers is made up of individual fundraisers. So this is the analogy I love to use because I'm a volunteer firefighter. A fire department is made up of firefighters. You can't be a member of a fire department if you're not a firefighter. So the same thing kind of goes for fundraising. In other words, your fundraisers will first become individual fundraisers, and then they will choose to create or join a team of fundraisers. So being a part of a team can also provide motivation and support, and let's face it, it can be a lot of fun. I have seen fundraising teams used to represent businesses, fire departments, of course, divisions of a large organization or university, family groups, even classrooms. And the whole idea of friendly competition, that can be really useful. It's kind of fun. Yeah. Fundraisers trying to outdo each other, all for a good cause. Before you finish the team setup, I like to suggest using a section of the team fundraising setup entitled Team Fundraising Customization and Display Settings to help your fundraisers through the process of joining a team. Here's what I mean by that. This section can be used to include instructions on how to join a team. Sometimes explaining the process reduces some confusion and ultimately will reduce the number of issues that are going to find their way to you. Another use is to take this section to describe the benefits of joining a team. Promoting the value of being part of a team might actually increase people's interest in doing that. And let's face it, if somebody has taken the step to create a team, they're much more likely to encourage their friends to join it. And even though I'm not highlighting it in this webinar, creating custom content specifically about fundraising, how to fundraise, how to join a team, that is all perfect for custom content that can show up in another place on your site. So now's the good stuff. Once you've completed the setup, now it's time to really begin thinking about how you're going to support those fundraisers. These people are your champions. These people are your advocates. These people are your biggest fans. Begin by encouraging your fundraisers to personalize their fundraising pages. Remember, people like giving to other people. Individuals and teams can edit the default details that you have created on their behalf, like increasing their default goal. They can also add their profile pictures, banner photos, and they can personalize their stories. Remember that fundraising sometimes is a deeply personal commitment for some individuals. Also from their pages, whether it's an individual page or a team page, fundraisers are able to view their donations, track their progress, and find tools to reach out to their network of friends and family and colleagues, like links and QR codes and text messages. All of these things will help with your fundraiser success. So let's talk a little bit about gamification and incentives. Understanding what motivates your fundraisers, not mine, not Chris's, not another race's, but your fundraisers, can really help you choose the right incentives. And we have lots of options for you. People of all ages and all genders can be inspired by rewards, especially if they relate to a cause that is very close to their heart. Some fundraisers might love the idea of collecting badges and milestones. Others might be more motivated by a refund of their registration fee when they reach a certain fundraising threshold. Whatever you decide, it all comes down to this. These tools are all about recognizing accomplishments and demonstrating your appreciation for their hard work. These people are out there working hard, and we have some tools for you to put in place to recognize that. So let's do some milestone and badge setup. The setup for individual and team fundraiser milestones and badges are just about the same. You'll see here, there's a screenshot of the backside, and there's a screenshot of Larry with his growing recognition case, and he is very happy about it. So it begins by selecting a milestone type and labeling it. You can tie milestones to first donations, amount of money raised, if someone has joined a team, even a specific number of donors. One of the newer features we have is the ability to tie a milestone or a badge to a custom question. For example, identifying as a survivor or a caregiver, or I'm going to use it again, or firefighter, somebody in public safety. You can use the choice of default badges that are within the platform, or you can create your own. In this instance, you see we created our own with the different colorful hearts. Now, a little bit about some of the key things that I think I would really like to mention as far as the ability to communicate with email. A consistent, effective stream of communication is crucial in fundraising. Without it, your fundraisers are going to feel disconnected and potentially lose motivation. And your donors may end up feeling less enthusiastic supporting you in the future. I like to think about maintaining 3 key relationships here. The relationship that gets established between your event and your fundraisers, the relationship of your event and your donors, and the relationship that begins to form between your fundraisers and their donors and their supporters. And all of these relationships are important. General notifications, which are the transactional emails sent when someone registers, donates, or becomes a fundraiser. So think, your email confirmation. These are called general notifications. These notifications, and there are many in the system, they can be tailored to fit your need. Use them. They're there. They're ready. They're very generic, but you have the possibility to go in and customize these and vary the messages for different audiences along the entire lifespan of your race or event. So think about the messaging that is necessary for fundraisers and how it might differ for captains. You can also have copies of these notification emails sent to email addresses that are outside of your team, such as notifying your charity partner of a new fundraiser. I love that because a nonprofit may love to know that someone has signed on as a fundraiser because they may actually want to pick up the phone or send a note of thanks for somebody rallying up to do a lot of hard work on their behalf. Enabling the automated registration follow-up email is another email that I think you should use. It is a simple way to consistently support fundraising efforts and your fundraisers. These emails can serve a lot of different purposes. They can provide updates, they can provide fundraising progress, they can offer tips and resources to help fundraisers reach their goals, personalize their page. The sky is the limit. That tool is there. It is there, baked into email marketing V2. Use it. It is going to help you maintain your communication momentum with your fundraisers. And finally, think about creating an email drip campaign using email marketing V2. For those of you that don't know what that is, a drip campaign involves sending a series of automated pre-written emails to, in this case, to fundraisers that might aim to push them, support them, inspire them, and thank them at key points across the life of your event. Those emails that go out on your behalf will be optimized for mobile viewing, and they will feature your brand, which, remember, will reinforce your event, it'll reinforce your cause, and it'll reinforce your mission. Nothing better. GiveSignup, RunSignup has been very fortunate to onboard several major endurance fundraising events, leading to the development of new tools and features that will benefit all of our users. These include new ways to increase fundraising commitments, dedicate donations, and recognize the unique characteristics of your supporters. If you are interested in taking a deeper dive into team settings, fundraising minimums, our robust reporting, I encourage you to subscribe to our blog, use our resources such as on-demand webinars and our video library. And of course, it goes without saying that our support team and our account managers are available to help you as well. Before I wrap up and we take some of your questions, I would personally like to extend my thanks to Chris Newcomer, who is our GiveSignup P2P specialist, for moderating today and for inspiring me to do great work with all the nonprofits that I work with. And I'd also like to express my thanks to the many race directors and event directors that I have had the privilege of working with as well as my fellow account managers here at RunSignup, who are always eager to share best practices and their success stories to the benefit of others. So with that, I think we have plenty of time for questions. Chris has been moderating the chat, so if we have time, I'm happy to answer some questions, or Chris might as well.
Yeah, and please feel we've answered the one question that came through. If you have any more, please feel free to put them in there. I just want to say, Nancy, it's you who inspired me. Nancy brings so much passion to the work that she does, not only as a person who helps folks who are putting on these events, but as someone who has put them on herself in the past and is very dedicated to the causes that she cares for. So when you end up working with someone like Nancy, you know that you've got a passionate advocate on your side. And so so I hope you are enjoying our mutual admiration society that you've come to here. But yes, so if you have questions, please feel free to put them in. One point that I do want to cover, Nancy covered it beautifully, but your account manager, the person that you're working with, they're just as passionate, they're just as excited about helping you to make sure your event is successful. So feel free to lean on them, and then feel free to also, of course, lean in on all the other resources we provide. And yeah, we're happy to help. So anyone got a question or two? Looks like maybe folks they've got the, I think, Nancy, that just means you just knocked it out of the park. You did a great job.
So if you have any questions or you would like assistance with a feature not addressed today, please reach out, to your account manager or the terrific support team here at RunSignup. And on behalf of Chris and me and all the other people that are out there helping with the technology behind all of this, thank you for attending today's webinar. your participation and attention is very much appreciated.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you want to click the thumbs up button, you can do that and like the video. And also subscribe to the channel. That way you can see more tips that we have for you and get to know our developers and other people at the company.
And see how my forearms are progressing as I enter fatherhood.
So riveting stuff. You're going to want to subscribe.